What if I told you that a basic human necessity, something without which you cannot survive for more than 3 days, is not considered a right, but a commodity? Imagine a world in which the water that falls from the sky or bubbles from a mountain spring is no longer yours, but the property of a corporation. This isn't the plot of a dystopian novel, it's the philosophy that has guided one of the most powerful empires in human history. We know Nestlé for the chocolate bars in our cupboards and the coffee in our mugs, but behind its Swiss-engineered efficiency lies a controversial history that has sparked global boycotts for 5 decades. This is a story of a company that didn't just want to feed the world, it wanted to own the very resources of life itself. To understand the scale of what we are dealing with, look around your kitchen. From Kit Kat to Maggi, from Nespresso to Perrier. Nestlé owns over 2,000 brands and operates in almost every country on Earth. They are the republic of food, but as this empire grew, it hit a wall. How can you keep growing when you already sell everything? The answer was as brilliant as it was chilling. You move into things that people cannot live without. You move into the most vulnerable moments of human life, infancy and thirst. The shadow hanging over Nestlé's reputation began in the 1970s with the so-called infant formula scandal. This dark chapter explains why millions of people still boycott the brand today. In developing nations across Africa and Asia, Nestlé launched an aggressive marketing campaign. Sales representatives dressed as nurses gave away free samples of infant formula in hospitals. To impoverished mothers, this powdered gold seemed like a step forward. But there was a catch. By the time the free samples had run out, the mother's own milk had dried up. They were trapped. They had to buy the formula, but they couldn't afford it, so they diluted it with dirty water to make it last longer. The result was a generation of malnourished children, proving that for some corporations, one nation is just another market to exploit regardless of the human cost. As the 21st century began, the battlefield shifted from the nursery to the earth itself. Water. In the financial world, water is increasingly being referred to as blue gold. While we see a bottle of water as a convenience, Nestlé saw it as a massive arbitrage opportunity. Their strategy was simple, yet devastatingly effective. Find a community with access to clean water, secure the pumping rights for next to nothing, sometimes as little as a few $100s a year, and then pump millions of gallons of water out of the ground. They would bottle it, slap on a premium label, and sell it back to the public at a 3,000% markup. This wasn't just happening in distant deserts, it was happening in Michigan and California during record droughts, as well as in small French towns. When Peter Brabeck-Letmathe, the former CEO, suggested in a documentary that the idea of water as a human right was extreme, he revealed the company's true colors. In their world, every resource has a price tag, and if you can't pay, you don't belong in the market. From a financial perspective, it was a masterstroke. They were selling a product that was essentially free to produce with infinite demand. But socially, it was a declaration of war on the commons, and the controversy doesn't stop at water. Follow the trail of their supply chains and you will find yourself in the cocoa fields of the Ivory Coast. Despite repeated promises to end child labor, the situation remains grim. For a company with the financial resources of a small nation, being unable to track where its cocoa comes from seems less like a logistical failure and more like a deliberate blind spot. This is a recurring theme in the Nestlé story, a disconnect between their polished corporate social responsibility reports and the often heartbreaking reality of how their profits are generated. Today, Nestlé is undergoing its most ambitious transformation yet. They are moving away from being solely a food company and into the field of health science. They are acquiring medical nutrition companies and weight loss brands. It's a perfect closed-loop financial system. They sell processed foods that contribute to global health crises and then sell medical solutions to treat them. They are no longer just part of the world. They are the world's doctor, grocer, and water supplier all at once. This leaves us with a haunting question that goes beyond finance and into the realm of ethics. In our quest for global efficiency and shareholder returns, have we allowed a single entity to become too essential? When one company controls our nutritional intake, and one family's board decisions can affect the health of an entire nation, The line between business and sovereign power disappears. Nestlé's story acts as a mirror to modern capitalism, reminding us that when one company owns one resource, one global crisis isn't just a possibility, it's an inevitability. If we don't define where corporations end and human rights begin, we might find ourselves living in a world where even the air we breathe has a barcode.